Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 7. So we have the big day for DC TV at Comic Con in around 24 hours from now, give or take a few hours or so. But getting close to Comic Con, some stuff gets out early, and that has happened with pretty much all the DC TV shows over the past, well, 24 hours I guess. And that of course includes Arrow. So in this video we will be going over these leaks, some in more detail than others, as some are pretty straightforward and really don't need that much extra detailing, if that's the way to word it. But of course, do take these pieces of information with a grain of salt. Sometimes these leaks are winners, sometimes they are losers, so best to not go spreading these as facts, but just as rumours. But of course, before we get into the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what rumour or leak grabs your attention the most, what you're looking forward to the most, if these, all, just pretend they're all true, just for the sake of the comments, and which one you're looking forward to the most. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new, especially with all the DC TV stuff tomorrow. This is the channel to get all those trailer breakdowns and information first. So we will just go through these the way that the source sort of placed them. So that starts off with the season is being treated as the last because it might be. Season 6 wasn't well liked by anyone behind the scenes save for the showrunners. So this is not that surprising, but still shocking at the same time. Personally, I have liked Arrow for the most part in all of its seasons. Sure, Season 3B and Season 4, the whole of that season, were literally the biggest poo you will ever see. But I am surprised that Season 6 would have been the straw that broke the camel's back in this situation, as I thought for the most part, especially the back half of that season, it was pretty solid, if not really good. But it is heading into Season 7, that's a long run for a show, especially with a simple premise of this and like maybe the lack of big villains that Green Arrow has. And with the announcement that Batwoman will be getting her own show, you would have to think that one of the existing shows would have to, make its way to accommodate Batwoman's arrival, and it looks like Arrow could be the one to do so. Next up is time skip. Oliver has been in prison for at least a year. Now this is interesting and would be cool to see happen, but it just doesn't feel like it would fit logistically or even chronologically with the rest of the Arrowverse. Like, do we really believe that Oliver would be in prison for a year when we pick back up, but then when we get to the crossover time, all the shows are just, synced up? The gap between a season's end to the beginning of the next season is usually like 4 to 5 months. That's usually like the rough time, maybe 6 months. So this just seems a bit too out there. But they do follow on to say that Oliver will be in prison until at least the crossover. Now, this is a long time in prison, but we know the crossover will be in episode 9 this season. They're not doing episode 8 like all the others. It's episode 9 this season. I think that's all to accommodate Flash having its own separate 100th episode and their 8th episode for this season. So I'm not shooting this down, but that's a long time in prison for us to sit there and watch. I think a safe area would be maybe 3, 4, 5 episodes max in regards to Oliver being in prison. Next up is the Department of Justice is getting involved apparently and want Oliver to be put on death row as a message to vigilantes everywhere. So this would be a good thing to see go down for the sole reason that it would probably be why Oliver would either escape from prison himself or be saved from others on the outside. Obviously we don't know the context of this though, whether other vigilantes are rising and the higher ups in criminal law and just the government and stuff aren't happy about that, or they just really want Oliver Queen to die. But this leads into the next leaked piece, which is elements of Escape from Supermax will be part of this arc. So for those that didn't know, Escape from Supermax was a cancelled Green Arrow movie from around 10 years ago roughly, which featured Oliver Queen being locked up and working with various villains in the prison he was in to escape. Now this prison was also Slabside, which will be seen in Season 7. I would love to see this. We know he will be, meeting up with previous villains from past seasons that will be showing up that he himself put in there. There might be some other random villains from the comics that will be in there that we haven't met before. Like one of the rumored ones is Blockbuster, which we haven't met before. So it would be cool to see Oliver have to team up with some of these people to save his own life. If anything, he'd probably team up with people he didn't lock up there. So maybe someone like Blockbuster to escape, and maybe he could be his own personal bodyguard in prison, who knows. Next up we have Star City is gone to complete shit. And we will just join this up with another piece of info here, which is Wild Dog and Mr. Terrific will have apparently retired. But yeah, this doesn't really come as too much of a surprise that we have Star City basically hitting the fan, but this could all be due to the vigilante numbers dropping. I have a feeling though, that won't be the reason necessarily. I think Green Arrow being gone is the main reason. Like, Criminal's just got a boost of confidence with him not being there. It's like when you're playing sports ball and like the other team loses their best player or something like that, and you just go, oh, we can definitely beat them now. And that's probably the Criminals in regards to taking over Star City, not Central City, Star City. Like, there could be 20 new vigilantes, but they probably wouldn't be able to match the intimidation factor that Oliver, supplied in the previous years. We do know that new characters are joining the show that sound like future heroes, so they could have risen up and, risen up during Oliver's time in prison, but they could also be the reason that the Department of Justice wants to make an example of Oliver Queen, because he's probably the only vigilante that they have in custody. Next up has to do with the villains for the season. Diaz isn't the main villain, but he'll be a major secondary villain. The Longbow Hunters are the main villains. The Longbow Hunters consist of Black Spider, Codename Assassin, Crimson Archer, and Captain Boomerang 2. So this to me sounds pretty cool. That list of hunters is pretty damn intimidating and threatening enough for me to believe that they could be the main villains for the season. They got like varied skills as well. Especially with Ricardo Diaz involved as well, that sounds like a decent villain lineup. So this could be pretty damn sick. Now, I think towards the end of Season 6, they talk about how the Longbow Hunters were a group of 3, but I think they were referring to the legend of the Longbow Hunters in that case, so a group from a while ago. So this would obviously be a new group or a new take on the Longbow Hunters, in this case being a group of 4. But do let me know in the comments what you think of that lineup. I think it sounds pretty sweet to me. But yeah, would you change one of the members in there for someone else? Just let me know. Next up we have, unfortunately, there'll be a lot of meeting the new guys while Ollie's in prison. So we already know going into Season 7 of Arrow that there are a handful of new characters coming to Star City. One that seems like they could be Blue Beetle eventually, and then another character who currently has the name of Konami Rhodes, who is another archer going by some test footage. So while Oliver is in prison, these will most likely be the new characters we hang out with and see develop, along with hanging out with the members of, New Team Arrow, Felicity, and of course Diggle. Next up has to do with a returning regular for this season, and of course that is Roy Harper, or Arsenal, but I don't know if he's going to be Arsenal in this case. And this is Roy Harper returns to Star City in episode 1, and by the end becomes the new Green Arrow. So this news is interesting, because I think we all just assumed that Roy would come back and just be Arsenal again if he was going to be a hero, but then again he doesn't have his suit anymore, I'm pretty sure. But in the Comic-Con preview interview thing for this season of Arrow, the executive producer or showrunner for Arrow, that being Beth Schwartz, said that Roy will be a hero in a new way or something along those lines. So maybe this means he will just be Green Arrow. I'm interested to see how people will respond to this, because it'd be cool to see Roy as Green Arrow for a bit, and that could just be it. I doubt if Oliver comes back, it's just not going to be Oliver Queen. He'll probably suit up as the Green Arrow again, but I don't think they can have Roy as Green Arrow for too long. I think that's an issue, and I think that goes back to the thing about him, Oliver, apparently being in prison for 9 episodes. It's too much. Like if Roy's Green Arrow for like 3 or 4 episodes, I think that's fine. Then Oliver comes out and takes the role back. Cool, that's fine. Seeing Roy as Green Arrow would be pretty cool. But I think if he's for half the season, roughly 9 episodes, I think that's a bit too much, and people might get frustrated. Same to the level that they did last season with Diggle being Green Arrow. So it's a risky line to tread. But I don't know, maybe Roy will be awesome as Green Arrow and we won't really complain too much. Who knows? And the final thing we have to go over from this drop of leaks involves the crossover, and that is the Court of Owls will be the crossover villains. However, they also seem to have an interest in Oliver. They will also be shown to have an interest in Barry and his powers. So obviously we know that the crossover will be set in Gotham and will feature the introduction of Batwoman into the Arrowverse, which is very exciting. And the Court of Owls had been rumored to be the villains for this crossover because, well, the families of Gotham. In regards to them having an interest in both Oliver and Barry, I think they will have an interest in Barry due to his powers, like it says there, and just how they can possibly use them for more menacing means, power usage, weapons, various things like that. But with Oliver, maybe they have an interest in him due to his abilities and maybe making him into a Talon, like one of their assassin types. That'd be pretty interesting, but yeah, it was rumored that the Court of Owls meant to be the villains in that Matt Reeves Batman movie, but who knows what's happening there. So maybe the CW can use Court of Owls quickly for this crossover. We did see them on Gotham in Season 3, was it? Season 3 or something? So they've been done before on live action. It's nothing new, but maybe the CW can do their own twist on them. But it had been rumored that it was the Court of Owls, but they weren't going to be called Court of Owls. It's just going to be obviously the Court of Owls when we see them there, but they're just going to be called a different name. We'll see if that actually happens in the crossover. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. What rumor or leak, or whatever you want to call them, caught your eye the most? What do you think is the most interesting? What are you looking forward to the most? And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.